ready to go. So there we go with the sharing. All right. Thank you everybody for the invitation. It's a privilege to be here to meet everybody. We are virtual, but this is very handy for accessibility. And we have a presentation on hand. This is a presentation from earlier in the year, but generally has most of the information related to our organization. I apologize for not being more comprehensive than the total approach to sustainability. It'll be quite a lengthy presentation to go through, but today we're going to be focusing more on green infrastructure and reforestation approach for sustainability. So without further ado, I will begin. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully everyone is registered to vote and already voted. I myself am an election official, so I'm doing double duty right now while doing this presentation and processing voters. Probably something I shouldn't say, but you know, with very few leaders in this world and people willing to step up, there's a lot of work to do. So I tend to wear many hats. So one of my hats is not only being an election official, but also the election executive director for Eco El Paso. And so if anybody is familiar with us, you may have been a volunteer at many of our events. But if you're not, we started in 2009, started by a group of architects and engineers. Originally, it was to promote the professionalism of architects and engineers and ensure that they were getting training and practicing sustainable methods in their disciplines. And so there was a need to start a conference to provide continuing education credits to those sort of professionals. And that started in 2009, and we're going to have our 16th annual conference this November 12th through 14th. And you are welcome to go to our website, learn more about it if you're interested in or needs continuing education credits. The topic of I'll go into this a little more detail later, is reducing the impact of the built environment on nature. And we'll talk more about that here. But here's our logo, here's our website. That's a great place to learn what we're doing. And please visit it. It's got most of the information that you'll see on this presentation. So you'll see that our website has gone through an update, and I'm still working on some of the back end stuff. So as you'll visit, you'll probably see these nice little tweaks that I'm putting in here and there. So please visit our website. It's a great resource. You can learn more about myself, the board, how to contact us, our events, etc. So I encourage everyone to visit that. And again, like I said, there's information about us. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit focused on sustainability here in the El Paso area. Some people ask, are we like a chapter of a larger national eco organization? And no, that's not the case. We are focused entirely and solely on the El Paso region, more specifically the Chihuahuan Desert, and all the connection there, right? We tend to be in a world where we live in a world drawn with these imaginary polygons, borders, and boundaries. But my personal philosophy is that we need to start focusing on the things that really matter, and those are our watersheds, our energy sheds, and all those other nice little systems that have been carved out outside of human mechanisms, things that really make a difference and impact our lives. So we're very much in focus on what all those impacts here. And so what is sustainability in the Paso Norte region or the Chihuahuan Desert? For people, I like to summarize it into 3 phrases. It's clean energy, clean water, clean air. And that has a huge intersectionality for a lot of other environmental justice issues, as well as social justice issues. But without these 3 things, which we're so dependent upon for our modern society, we can't find ourselves to be sustainable if these 3 things aren't met. And I like to put clean energy at the top of that kind of archway. I think I personally see it as the keystone, but that just might be me as an electrical engineer and just obsessed with electrons, right? But I do see energy, clean energy, particularly in our region, as being one of the focus areas and where we can accomplish not only the clean air portion, but also the clean water, because the way we generate energy here locally. So as an engineer, I will nerd out on in energy things all day and engineering things, but we'll move on to the others. But just so everyone knows, like I said, we are part of West Texas chapter of Texas, the Texas Solar Energy Society, and so they're a state-based nonprofit that focuses on renewable energy, particularly solar. And with El Paso being the Sun City, that only makes sense. That we try to ensure that those innovations, investments are happening in that area. So we'll talk more about our programs and initiatives, which is what we're going to focus on primarily. I'll mention this real quick, the Frontera Solar Energy Program. And so what we do here in this program is we gather resources, materials, funds, and we gather them together to offer to a nonprofit. And so I've been dying like years to make mention of this, and I don't think the political climate's ever going to change. But we did our first project and it was a success, and we were able to get a full solar system donated to Annunciation House. And so with a nonprofit like that, where they're really trying to maximize their dollars for the purpose of their goal, if we remove the costs of energy expenses from their monthly expenses, that opens up a lot more funds for their goodwill and for them to pursue their mission. So that's the best example I can give for the Frontera Solar program is we're organizing to get solar systems to like nonprofits, like for example, Annunciation House or other similar nonprofits, and so that they can be equipped with that sort of saving technology, energy saving technology, as well as the generation component, and then enable them through that. So it's a relatively new program, and we're still exploring it. So if you're interested or have interest, go to the webpage or go ahead and ask a question later, and I'll give you more information. And we've got a webpage on that, so you can go in detail on some of those things. You usually hear me always say this, go solar, right? So we've also partnered up with the city of El Paso and a national nonprofit, Solar United Neighbors, and where we are trying to get local homeowners, Pasoans, to go solar. And so where it becomes an affordability issue for the cost of the whole system, those who have the flexibility can join this solar co-op. And to simplify it, I like to call it like a Groupon for solar. And so as many people as you can get in per campaign, that reduces the cost of labor, materials, and then scheduling becomes more efficient because you have crews, materials showing up in a very, a desirable window, and installations can happen in a windfall that's pretty efficient for this campaign versus say your traditional way of where people come and knock on your doors and then you're kind of at the mercy of whatever their offer is or just other circumstances. So this is a good opportunity where we gather people who are interested in solar. We educate them on the technology. There's no obligation, so they can walk away from these sessions educated, or they can be encouraged and inspired to take on solar, whether it be at 50% or 100% offset. That's entirely up to the campaign participant. And then the collective of all the participants help drive down costs. And depending on what the wants are from that campaign group, there's certain savings there. So let's say you have all of them, everybody in that group wants to go solar and they don't have solar on their homes originally. There could be some bundle in savings there when you're ordering, say, racking or mounting materials. But say you already have solar and you want to finally go and you want a battery now, or you want solar water heating on top of your solar system. Those sort of considerations can be brought into the campaign. The participants choose the installer and then they get to negotiate prices on that. So that becomes very interesting. So we have had successes in the past. And so we did our first one was a 2022 solar co-op. We had 136 participants. I keep forgetting to update that number. And we had 32 solar installations. And then the participants of that chose the solar installer, and they chose Apollo Solar, which is a local solar group. So again, we're building in that local workforce, which is part of our goal of our organization. And then to flash forward to 2023, where we did the second run on the campaign, Sunshine City Solar was selected installer, and they're wrapping up those installations. Either they have or have. I know we're going to have a celebration for the completed project in November. So they might be on the finishing side of either commissioning these systems or completing installation. And when we talk about commissioning, we're really dependent on the actions of El Paso Electric. And I'm going to leave that at the end of my rant about El Paso Electric for there because I will go on for hours. But we are going to do hopefully a 2024-2025 co-op with the city. We're trying to make it more aggressive in the way it can offer an opportunity for homeowners. Cities like Austin, which fun facts, Austin has its own municipal utility versus a privately owned monopolistic utility like El Paso Electric. And with the benefit of that municipal utility, they're able to take some of their profit and then in turn turn that into an incentive package for, this is unfortunately only for Austonians, but if they go solar in an Austin utility, they will give them 20% of the costs in a rebate. So those are the sort of things that we're trying to build with greedy El Paso Electric and their unwillingness to actually innovate and invest in the community that they so carelessly drain through their wallets, through the exploitation of their energy rates. And did I mention also in 2025, they're going to issue a new rate case adjustment where Eco El Paso, myself, will be organizing with local solar installers to combat that and ensure that they get the message that they need to have fair practices for grandfathered and adopting solar customers, and as well as other fair practices that we're going to push for in this rate case coming up. So if you're interested in that, know any lawyers who want to do pro bono work for us or are really cheap and affordable as far as environmental energy policy, please send me their information. I would love to bruise El Paso Electric in any way, shape, or form. But that's neither here nor there. I digress. And so here's the crown jewel that I want to talk about tonight. So our most popular program has been our Million Trees El Paso program. And so that was started in 2020. Back history on it, our annual conference has always had a tree planting component to it. Some years were more ambitious than others. But in 2020, we decided, hey, this is something that we do regularly. People were asking about it. That we decided to brand it and move it into its own kind of initiative. And thus, here's how Million Trees El Paso was born. And it has exactly that goal, to plant 1 million trees. And I say plant, I mean transplant 1 million trees in El Paso. And so the focus of this program is to put native and drought-tolerant trees throughout El Paso. Ideally 1 million trees that thrive. But from some rough calculations, we need at least 2 million trees to make some significant difference. But we just left it at 1 million, right? Because if we get 3 million, 4 million, it's all good after that. So we're looking to get 1 million trees here in El Paso. Our traditional approach has been to fundraise through crowdsource fundraising, grants, sponsorships, and other ways of acquiring monies for this goal. And then we started this program, like I said, in 2020, and we started out doing, and that number's outdated as well, because we're 947 or something like that, 958 or something like that. And we started off doing the regular like 5-gallon trees that you get at Lowe's. And we got a grant. Our first grant that we got that really helped us go big was an AARP grant. And we went and bought 195 5-gallon little trees from like Lowe's or wherever. I don't remember where we did. And we gave them out. And we had already been collecting residential information from those who were interested, people who had nominated friends, family, residents, neighbors. And we populated those frequency dots on a map, and then we targeted the highest density. And 100 and some trees goes by pretty quick. So we were giving them out, and we felt great. We felt warm in our hearts. It was different from what we'd done before, where we had focused on areas and we had done tree plantings in there. We felt like we had made a good impact, but then as we started moving more into developing this into a program, we started applying for other grants. We started realizing some of the things that other either granting entities or other organizations are keeping track of, metrics. And so I decided to incorporate that into our program. And so we'll go back here quick. And yeah, so today we've done like, you can go to the website, it's like 900 and some trees. We got another 250 coming in soon. I put the trees on the website when they're in the ground. So we have recently been awarded $25,000 from Texas A&M Texas A&M Forestry Service, which is a sub-grant from the U.S. Forestry Grant. But we were a recipient of that grant, and we're going to execute 100 tree transplants this fall, and then the rest of them in the spring. And we're doing a combination of them. Those trees are like we've done even in the ARP grant. They went to the Paso Norte Trail and to surrounding neighborhoods that are underserved and disadvantaged. Typically, we're looking at like the neighborhoods in Washington Delta and Thomas Manor because they're squeezed right between the border freeway, south of I-10. They're to the east of some of the industrial point polluters. So those are areas that we focus, and we continue to invest our efforts into the trail. So you'll see those tree planting events this November on the trail. And we've also expanded into public parks and schools. And so we're developing that. And so here is this is just a sample, an example. I mean, there's many more trees. These are kind of not my favorite, but they're my favorite ones. There's no sumacs or anything in this, but if anybody's familiar with the poster that came out a few years ago, it was Texas A&M and Master Gardeners, and it was funded, I think, by the Paso Community Foundation. They put up these awesome posters. They were being given out at Flora Fest. Master Gardeners always have them on hand. But there's a lot of tree species on that poster that aren't obviously exemplified here that are great candidates to have in your home or any area. But I picked these just because they're native, they're drought tolerant, and they're common. You're walking in the natural environment, you'll see these in their small dwarf form, but they're thriving out in the wilderness. Hold on. Okay, give me one moment, please. All right, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so like these, we generally promote these trees. These are like the off the cuff kind of suggestions we have for people. But one thing I do want to point out is when we do the tree plantings, we have an abundance of obviously like the honey mesquite and desert willow in nurseries. And that's an unfortunate consequence that we have is that we don't have a lot, we don't have land, we don't grow our own trees. So we're really dependent on the local nurseries. We support the local nurseries by buying from them, and we dedicate our purchasing to them, unless just we can't get a certain species. But we've never really been in a situation where a certain species is required to complete a grant fulfillment. But we always recommend these off the top of our head. But like the desert willow, the mesquite, those are very abundant in nurseries because for them it's profitable. Whereas we want to see a biodiverse implementation through this program of the different tree species. So we do find ourselves in very huge common planting a lot of desert willows and honey mesquite, which is not bad. But they're having the Mexican buckeye or the redbud or other tree species and adjacent to these in a small microclimate, or giving that just having that splash of color from some of these other species is desired. And I know we get changed, right? We're not USDA hardiness zone 8 anymore. We're 9. So that's data that just recently happened, like this earlier this year. So these are the trees that we promote. We do have an augmentation of this program that I don't have a slide for. These are old slides now. But yeah, so we did a tree planting on April 27th. And that was for the Celebrate Your Trail Day. So we'll be doing something in honor of Arbor Day on the trail. And so I'm gonna jump forward through some of these. Oh, here's the mention about our Texas A&M Forestry Award. But we did get a recent award. I don't have a thing, but I will pull up the website. We won a NOAA grant a few weeks ago, and we were really quick to put this program into execution. So we got 11 grant from NOAA, and that really helped us spur up our Branches to Roots program. And it's a sub-initiative of Million Trees El Paso. And so, like I mentioned, where Million Trees El Paso is a multi-solution approach to getting those trees into the ground and in the area. And so Million Trees El Paso has this sub-initiative, which is Branches to Roots, which is going to do tree propagation of already established trees. And so that is recently been added to our website, and we're going to expand it because we're going to have worksheets and all that, because it's going to be a citizen science project. And we're going to attract youth, from high school, middle school, as well as college students. So here, let me bring the browser up here. Full screen it and share. So share. Is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so this is our Branches to Roots program. This is one of the things that we're really pushing pretty aggressively right now, just because we got dollars on hand and time is of the essence. It's a perfect tree planting and propagation season. So you can go to our website. We got a short link there, branchestoRoots.ecopaso.org. And so this sub-initiative is being spearheaded by a UTEP student. She is a board member with us. Her name is Fernanda Lugo. If any of you know her, give a shout out and join one of her workshops. So she just recently did, Saturday we were at Minicast, myself and Fernanda, and we did a presentation of this to some of the educators. And we're trying to connect with those educators and their campuses to do much of what I said before, to get those workshops students interested. And so the goal of it is to do 150 native tree propagations, and we're going to be doing them through small little pods. We're going to purchase the pods out first to kind of have like a variable in the experiment, and then we're also going to move towards doing a DIY approach. So we can also make this merge with one of our other programming that we do is Eco Crafts. And so we want to have people to upcycle, reuse common materials that we would normally throw away, and then we can make these pods for propagation. And so if you've ever been to Keystone Heritage Park, you will see some of these propagates there, and there's some going to be at, if not already, I think they did it last Thursday at the Chihuahuan Desert Gardens at UTEP. So you'll be seeing those propagates. We've got a sample of our brochure here. You can go to the website, click these images and look at them. Pick up one of these trifolds when you come to our events. And so Fernanda, she's leading this. She's taking all the data observations. We're going to, once these propagates are established and thriving, we will put them into our GIS map. We'll have them on a separate layer, and we're going to be monitoring them through their growth. So she already has another session, I think, scheduled for October 27th at Keystone. And if you're interested, you can go to our website, check our social media, and you can join in there. You can scan this QR code here to take you to this page. This is just where we're starting. We're going to have some more updates and stuff. So this web page will fill up with progress and just more like kind of scenes from what we're doing there. And so that's a sub-initiative of our Million Trees El Paso. And since I have you on the website, you can also see the page here. So there's more information. You can see the ticker 917 we have so far. Join our Facebook group. There's some more information here for anybody who's not familiar with trees. We link to some good sources, Texas A&M, Master Gardeners sources. We can try to tie it all in as much as we can. We have some previews of some of the other events here. I need to update a lot of this stuff. We've partnered with the El Paso Zoo. This past Earth Day, they gave out trees. They gave out 190 trees and they wanted to contribute them to our efforts. So on top of the 917 trees, we got 190 from our El Paso Zoo partners. And if you are an organization, entity, and would love to be a partner with your own tree count, let me know. I'd love to include you. And so the big things that we're trying to do with this program is, yes, educate the public about the proper tree species. We have a huge, more detailed list here, and as well as change the culture and the way people see trees, care for them, interact with them. And so by doing that, we host these volunteer tree planting events that we get through these grant opportunities. And then we do on-site workshops, give people a real quick crash course. We're always looking for tree enthusiasts to be either tree leads on some of these tree planting events, become part of this program at a more in-depth level, helping us with the management or organizing, however your best suit of your skills. I'm behind all of this, so I'm doing like all the different things at once. So any helping hands would help. Even if it's on the tree planting event days, helping take a tree group and helping them make sure they don't bury the planter in with the tree, because that's happened. Make sure that they take the burlap off, that they take the wiring off of the tree ball, root ball. Those sort of things are super helpful. So we're always looking for volunteers there. Expert advice. If you see anything in there that's like, oh man, that's really good information you guys should have in here, let me know. I can make that edit. But without taking up any further time, because I can go on and on about this program, I will open it up for questions. And if anybody needs clarification on the program about Million Trees El Paso or anything else that we do, because there's plenty more to what we do, but these are the things that are up front, and these are the things that we're having the most success with today. So ready if you are on the questions. Thank you, everybody.
Josh, I was wondering if you could jump back to the solar just for a moment. Where do we stand on batteries in El Paso?
In El Paso, yeah, so battery technology, I would love to see brought here. There's an opportunity with the advanced manufacturing sector that they're very excited about bringing in. I know that they're pitting it for aero defense and aero related industries, but batteries can go right into that because, whether it be drones or other unmanned piloted aircraft, batteries are a big part of that. So there could be a possibility for maybe R&D, maybe small scale assembly. I don't think we'll actually be making the cells themselves. But with my experience in working in manufacturing and auto as an engineer, the wire harnesses, all the wiring that can be done in relation to that, like charging harnesses or the interconnection harnesses, those could be done here easily because we have the infrastructure. It's just a matter of the specialty manufacturers to build the capital in their facilities to develop these. I know that we have a lot of copper stock that is made here in El Paso and then is shipped to Juarez, where they make the final harness, and then that final product is shipped over to the United States, and then that's put into your favorite automobile brand of choice. So it could evolve into that. I think we really need to look at the way the city does its incentivizing for new business startups, entrepreneurial startups, because with the way the city and their behaviors are, is they like to attract already existing big box names and just kind of go the easy way in. But really, and that's one of the points of Eco El Paso too, is to build to a regional infrastructure. So we're not having to ship things from across the planet. If we can build that locally and reduce the transportation, those are sort of the kind of approaches we want to go. So there's nothing I've heard, but I welcome it. I think it's a great opportunity. And then there's new battery technologies coming out too, right? The iron core batteries, not just lithium ion. Samanyuca is to the south of us. There's lithium mining there, and it is an environmental hazard, but I think we can do mineral mining in a safer, more environmentally conscious way than we could ever by fracking the earth and cracking it open. So I'll go to war on that argument, but I think that'll be for my soapbox somewhere else.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, sustainability is not just the green infrastructure component, but that seems to be the most applicable here. If we get more industry, then a lot of the things really get to open up. Like if we're going to talk about solar panels, we could not assemble or manufacture those solar panels here, but we could take components and assemble them into other end products here locally. And that could be another sustainable industry for our region. Any other questions or details?
Josh, this is Kevin.
Yes.
Can you talk a little more about the upcoming conference? Do you
Oh,
have any
yes.
of the speakers or topics already figured out?
Thank you. Yes, let me jump to that. I did feel like I was missing something. And that was it. Okay, so we got the conference. You can go to conference.ecoelpaso.org. There's a short link. Here you can find the information on our 2024 conference. So we got the information for tickets. We're still looking for sponsors if anybody wants to get on that. One part that I do want to make mention, I don't have a schedule posted here yet, but the first day and second day are the CEU earnings speaks for the speakers. I'm sorry. And so if you're needing of CEUs, it's $85 for the whole conference. So you can go day 1, day 2, get your CEUs, attend those in person and online because we have our whole event hybrid. And then if you're not a professional, you're just someone in the public or a student, we have the $25 tickets and that. You don't get the CEU earned credits, but you get to exposure sitting in on the meetings and being able to ask questions, interact with the speakers. The new addition we're doing different this year is we're doing a third day, and that's free admission. Across all 3 days, we're going to have an expo. So paid attendees will get the first 2 days of the expo exclusively, but the third day, the public can come and check out that expo floor. We're going to be having other discussions. We're finalizing some of the community discussions. I've approached some people about talking in detail about, say, the deck plaza issue and how that relates, because last year's topic was transportation. And so that we'll kind of have an update of that, kind of leading in from last year's conference, relating it to a more modern local issue. And then we're also going to have a presentation from the Chihuahuan Desert Climate Collaborative. And so if you haven't had a chance to engage with the Climate Action Plan, we'll be having a presentation there from the Climate Fellows. You can ask those detailed questions. We're going to have panel discussions on some of those things so we can get into some of the topics about that. And yeah, we're gonna have other small presentations. So if you are of a community organization or would like to be in the day 3's programming, let me know. We would love to have you. We're going to be at the Blue Flame building, the Center for Civic Empowerment. So if anybody's been there, you know, it's technology enabled. We'll be using that, the screens, the conferencing ability, and then we'll also be recording these talks, so that way they'll be on our website at a future date, so you can refresh, and then you know, we have that content available. So if you forgot what somebody said that day, you can at least go to the video and go back and check that. So that's what we got so far. You'll be seeing more information on that coming up in these upcoming weeks. We'll have the speaker announcements and all that. So if you're available, come join us. And if you want to be a speaker, now it might be a little too late, but looking into next year, we haven't decided on the topic, but let me know your interest or your field of expertise. And we will definitely have you on our short list for future speakers. So that's all I got for that until you visit the website and I have some more info. We're building up towards that event. Any other questions or clarifications?
Josh, it's Lawrence again. You know, my first acquaintance with you all was several years ago when you did an electric car expo at Sunland Park Mall.
Yes.
And I wondered if I've just missed out, or if there would be a possibility to whip up more excitement by doing one of those again.
Yes, yeah, actually, I think, 2 weeks ago was National Electric Drive Week. And we have had a long history of hosting events in support of that. I would love to do it again. I'm trying to work on my cloning device. I need clones to help organize some of these things. I would love to get somebody on the board who is an EV enthusiast, and who is interested in that, or at least a super volunteer that could help with that. The reason why you saw that event before is we did have a board member who was an EV owner. They were an EV enthusiast, and they helped organize those events. So that's the reason why those were successful. They have since moved out of the region, and so we're kind of missing that component. I would love to own an EV one day. I'm much in the boat like everyone else, and I've heard comments about that. It depends on, I guess, what side of the argument you're sitting on. We do recognize that El Paso is a low income community, and EVs are a bit out of the affordability for some families. But as we see the adoption rate and the popularity increase, just as we saw with the fossil fuel combustion automobile, used car sales made that accessible and affordable for for families. So as long as EVs keep going and they're seeing their success trend increase, we'll see more used vehicles available, and hopefully bringing down the market price on new EVs in comparison to fossil fuel powered vehicles. And that way people can make that choice a lot easier. And I would be disservice to saying this if nobody didn't know this already, but if you're thinking about converting and kicking your gas guzzler for an EV vehicle, the best setup for that is to go solar. By going solar at your home initially, you can charge your car. There's also a rate benefit there, not only for having solar, but also for owning an EV. So there's some savings there. And those are some of the things that we talk about, like at our conference or in some of these other engagements. And we do have some information about that on our website, although it's not updated with the recent tax incentives that they're doing for the rebates. But there are some links there and just general information about EVs if you're interested.
Thanks.
So I'm definitely open to a 2025 National Electric Drive Week. Just really need someone to either kind of spearhead it or just get me excited by wanting it and willing to stand by me as we attempt to execute. Any other questions?
Lawrence again. I might just add, of course, that New Mexico is gradually improving their offerings, but my Durango daughter is going to buy, of all things, a Ford Lightning, because it's an expensive vehicle, but the federal credit is still $7,500, and then the state of Colorado gives a $5,000 credit, and
Wow.
her solar installation on the roof makes way more than they can use. So she's looking at fueling it with that. So it's everything like that takes a little longer here. I'm sure, but that was exciting to see an assortment of different makes there out on the Sunland Park pavement.
Yes, we have Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya Sanchez. I'm with the El Paso Community Foundation. I just
Hi.
had a question about the tree program. Do you work at all with the city on the tree, their 915 tree adoption?
Yes, we're partnering with them. We support them and their efforts. For their program, they do have a limited scope, right? Because there's a city entity, they can only operate within their jurisdiction. So we're with the intent to complement them. So when they do tree plantings and say they only focus on the parkway, we can help complement that and expanding the canopy and either organizing or figuring out other creative ways of funding to get trees in that same neighborhood or wherever, and expanding the tree canopy. As a nonprofit, we can plant pretty much wherever we're given permission. So say like a side access, dog run, backyard, front yard, we can definitely plant there. And that's how we're planning to support them. I know they're going to focus more on parks with their 915 tree keepers, which makes sense because the city owns those parks. And that's been much of what we have worked with them before on their parks, as well as outside of the 915 tree keepers, but through the Million Trees El Paso, where we've planted trees on parks. So we're not too similar, but we have a good crossover, and yes, we do support them in their efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other? Oh, and then go back to Colorado. Yeah, Colorado is just they're just yeah. I mean, for the National Renewable Energy Lab to reside there, yeah, they have they're doing good work there. And Texas, just being the oil on their oil addiction, it's hard to break. But my argument to them is I'm not trying to take away your wealth or your sense of stability with your fossil fuel poisoning industry. But I do want Texans to understand that there's an opportunity not being seized in its full potential by combating or stunting renewable energy growth in this state. If Texas wants to remain the energy leader in the union, then it needs to upfront embrace renewable energy and stop backpedaling it, like our current governor does. And like in the case of EVs, the legislature in Texas continuously keeps proposing these quote unquote taxes, $400 increase on any sale of an EV within the state, because I think that's going to encourage people to stick with their fossil fuel vehicles, which they're highly mistaken. But those are the sort of actions that discourage those sort of adoptions. Those are sort of behaviors we know to be very common in the state of Texas. And until we see significant changes from legislature or the attitude towards, say, renewable energy or any sort of sustainability method or practice, we're going to see much more of the same. But I think that's where El Paso lies different. We're not in ERCOT. We're part of a monopolistic utility that's in the Western Interconnect, or the Sun City. There's a great opportunity there. We just have to make sure that we don't let the state laws cripple us while they feel that they're trying to improve the other regions of Texas. We got to make sure they don't impede us or stifle our growth. As we all know, in West Texas, we're always forgotten. So I think when we look at renewable energy, it's an opportunity to make ourselves seen. And then if we have an industry to back that, then that we become even more of a powerhouse.
I wonder what's going on down in Austin, which is, of course, a progressive place. I should ask my Sierra Club friends down in the Lone Star chapter what it's like.
We're gearing up for a legislature session in January, so it might be a good time to find out what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Well, it's an uphill battle when you've got fossil fuel people embedded everywhere.
Yes, that is true.
But at least we're not in ERCOT. That was very fortunate during these weather events.
Yes, it was.
So, well, if there's no other questions, just take this minute to thank Josh once again and thank Lawrence for inviting him. Eco El Paso is doing a lot of great work, lots and lots of different amounts of great work. So I'm sure anyone who wants to help out, Josh would welcome the help. So reach
Yes,
out to him
please.
for that. And otherwise, we'll have our next meeting in November. I'm going to be presenting about some of the birds that we're welcoming back for the winter. So refamiliarize ourselves with our winter friends. So but yeah, other than that, I'll end the meeting, and thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everybody. Please, let me give you my contact info before. I think that's the one thing I did miss. Let me pull up, where's that from? So the last slide here has got my contact info. You can screenshot that, email me, find us on socials. You got a question, let me know. You know, got an idea, it seems too wild or crazy. I got all these kind of crazy wild ideas, and that's why I'm executive director for Eco El Paso, because it's really the only place, in my experience, this is going to happen. The crazy, wild, radical ideas can only happen in a nonprofit realm. For me, the way I see it, just because the risk is too great to not attempt in all pathways of possibility. So please connect. I'd love to talk to you, and I appreciate you giving me your time this evening. I look forward to being invited in the future or seeing you at all the other events. I recognize some of the names here, and we'll be cross-pollinating, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.